Welcome to Mooney Reads. My name is Beck, and today I'm going to be doing the BookTube Birthday Tag. My BookTube birthday comes closely after my actual birthday, and then also my Bookstagram birthday. So it's really well timed. I'll put a link to the original creator of this tag, and we can get started. The first question is, how many years on BookTube are you celebrating? This is my second BookTube birthday. I started in 2020. This was my, quarantine hobby that I picked up. I found BookTube and then Bookstagram in late 2019. After finding the nonfiction BookTube tag in particular, that really motivated me to make one because I saw that there were people with so many different interests and all of that. They weren't all, people with perfect cameras who had shelves and shelves of only YA. Seeing that diversity of interest made me feel like it was really okay for me to start my own channel. Question number 2 is, what has kept you motivated to make videos? And basically my interest in reading, my interest in creating, is really a big piece of it. I also love seeing other people's videos, especially people who are making content with books that you don't see all the time, and more diverse recommendations and stuff like that. I feel like I have maybe something to contribute in that regard, so I want other people to find the books that I like, so that's a motivation as well. Question number 3 is, what are 3 of your favorite videos that you've made this past year? I'd definitely say that my poetry vlogs are high up there. There, I think, are more than 3 of those, but I, in general, had a really wonderful time during that month writing poetry. I mean, I do like the vlogs. I put a lot of effort into them, even though they aren't ones that a ton of people are going to watch because they're really long. I apparently really like making long videos, even though they aren't the most popular. But just the whole experience of that was really great. I would also say my adult trans books video, that one, I really liked the list that I put together. I think that I did it well, and it also got a fair amount of views, so that's cool too. I also really liked the videos that I did on my experience figuring myself out and coming out. I put a lot of effort into those. Again, it's kind of a longer video, but it's something that I felt like was really important to put out there, especially because when I was questioning and trying to figure stuff out, I didn't see anyone really with my same experience, so that's really valuable to me. And in general, I know that the coming out video is kind of seen by a lot of people as overdone, but I think that putting your experiences out there is really invaluable. Number 4 is, what have you struggled with on BookTube this past year, and how did you overcome that struggle? I'm not really sure. That's kind of a hard question to answer, just because I haven't, I don't set a lot of big goals. If I don't have a posting schedule. I guess some of the biggest things would be FOMO, fear of missing out with, people are constantly talking about a new book that's coming out and stuff like that. There are already so many books that I already own that I really want to get to. And sometimes I struggle with focusing and being able to get into all of these books. So that's not, I guess, particular to making BookTube content, but that's definitely one of them. One of the, struggles that I've been having. I also have a tendency sometimes to start videos and then not finish, particularly when it comes to vlogs. I have a few vlogs that I've done and then have just died somewhere in the editing process. Either I lose pieces of footage, or I don't complete the vlog, or I just think that the idea is no good anymore. So that's kind of an issue. And I guess fixing that would just be having more confidence to put that stuff together. I do get kind of insecure sometimes, I guess, because I do tend to post longer videos, and I do know that there are some people that really like that and have told me that. But I also know that a lot of the just people in general don't want to watch a 30-minute long YouTube video. But I mean, the kind of like overcoming that is just realizing I'm doing this for myself and for people who are interested in books that I like. And it doesn't have to be for everyone. Not everyone has to like everything that I do. Which is a hard lesson to learn. Question number 5 is to choose one moment from the past year on BookTube to relive. And there are a couple that I might pick. I've already talked about my poetry vlogs, and really that whole month there was just so much great stuff happening. The like personal like experience of writing poetry and letting myself do that again did so much for me personally. It's hard to express. I was able to really dig through and work on getting over a lot of stuff that I had in, I don't know, it was very therapeutic. It also made me like remember that I can make stuff, you know. And with that too, I was with a group of other booktubers who were doing poetry stuff. Sage, Iris, Andrea, and Sarah and I were all in a group chat, and we kind of had some write-ins together and gave each other feedback, and it was a really good time. So that's something that was a highlight. The other moment that I might relive would be the first buddy read that I did with Brent. We started reading Captive Genders, I want to say towards the beginning of February, and we didn't finish it until the end of May. But we met on Zoom a few times and really hit it off, and now they're one of my best friends. So that was just a really cool experience. Like, the book and everything was very good and very important. I would highly recommend it. But beyond all of that, just finding somebody on here that I just really clicked with. And, like, it's actually kind of funny because when we met up to talk about the book, we would talk about the book for like 5 or 10 minutes and then go totally off course and just talk for hours about whatever. And that's kind of how all of our conversations end up. I'm not sure that we've had a conversation that lasted less than 3 hours, but that's a really good time. So those are kind of 2 highlights of this past year on BookTube. Number 6 is to shout out a huge supporter of your channel. This question for some reason is giving me pause and a little bit of anxiety as though I'm going to forget somebody. But I feel like Brent hypes me up a lot, like when we're talking, because they're one of the couple of people that I know who actually likes my longer videos. And another person that I would point out is Ariel. She comments very consistently on my videos, and I love that. She also puts out amazing content, so if, you know, all of the people that I'm mentioning you should already be following, and their stuff will be in my description. And, you know, there are a lot of other people who have been very supportive or have been really great to work with on different projects. I'm doing the Run Readathon with Kathy, and when we put that together last year, that was really great, and this year we've been doing reading sprints, which has been really cool. There are definitely other people too, but those are the folks that are coming to my mind at the moment. The next question is, what is the best book you've read this past year? And y'all know I can't pick a favorite to save my fucking life. I did put out a couple of videos about my favorites of 2021. I haven't put out the graphic novel or poetry ones yet because I just haven't, but it's fine. So if you want to see, like, a lot of my favorites of last year, check out those videos for fiction and nonfiction. But we're also with this, it's basically from last February to this February, so it's not quite the January through December bit. So I'm gonna pull up Goodreads to look at when I read stuff. So I found a few, couple of fiction, couple of graphic novels, couple of nonfiction. So and then one, like, honorable mention. The 30 Names of Night was the best book that I read last year, the best fiction book. It's beautifully written. This is the story of a closeted Syrian American trans boy as he is dealing with the grief of losing his mother, and trying to get into his art. His art is kind of connected with this bird species that his mom had a connection to, and he finds this diary of one of the few people who really knew about this bird. So you go back and forth between his perspective and the diary, and this turns into this multi-generational queer story of the Syrian American community. It's so beautifully written, and there are lots of birds, but this is incredible. That's definitely high up there. Another literary fiction that I really loved this past year was Detransition Baby. This is the story of, this is another one that's actually told on two timelines. The first timeline, you're seeing Reese and Amy, who are two trans women getting into a relationship, and kind of the trajectory that their relationship goes on. In the second timeline, you're looking at them years later. Amy has detransitioned and changed their name to Ames, and is working this corporate job and has gotten their boss pregnant. Being unable to cope kind of with the idea of fatherhood, he decides to call Reese and ask if she would want to co-parent with him and his lover, his boss. I don't really know if they're officially dating or not, but yeah, this was incredible. This is like the epitome of messy queers. Some really good stuff. So far as graphic novels go, my favorite graphic novel of 2021 was The Magic Fish. This is the story of a Vietnamese American boy who, in the 90s, he reads to his mother, who doesn't really speak a lot of English. That's kind of how he's teaching her English, in a way, or practicing, and they're also bonding. You get a decent bit of his story. He's in school, dealing with a lot, and is also gay, and not really sure how to talk to his mom about that because he doesn't really know the words. And then you also see a lot about his mom's life. You get to see flashbacks, as well as what she's dealing with her mom and parts of her family still being in Vietnam. You also, on top of all of this, get these fairy tales. And the way that they're drawn is beautiful. There's so much attention to detail, especially when it comes to the fashion. It's incredible. The other one that I would say is one of my favorites of this past, February to February kind of a deal, I just finished reading very recently, so I haven't talked about it at all yet. And that is Across a Field of Starlight. This is another young adult graphic novel that focuses on these two non-binary characters from two different societies. There's one big empire that's kind of trying to take over. One of them is from an army that's kind of combating them, and another one is from a commune that was started by people who defected from the empire. They run into each other on a planet. Fasten, the one from the planet that's kind of at war, has crash landed there. Lou is just helping with research. They're both kids when they find each other, and Lou gives Fasten this piece of technology so that they can, if they're in the right places in the galaxy, they can communicate to each other. And so they have this long distance friendship, and things start to happen when it comes to the war, and it just kind of goes from there. It is so fucking incredible. The character design alone is just amazing. There is so much diversity, not just in terms of their non-binary, queer characters of color, but the actual, body size, disability, their, facial features, the diversity of gender expression. You have a trans character in here who explicitly, uses hormones and binds and stuff, and then you have another one who is, feminine and has, a lot of body hair. So you get to see kind of a spectrum of that. It's so cool. It's so cool. And that one I think came out this month, actually, in February. Then I have a couple pieces of nonfiction. The Anthropocene Reviewed is amazing. I've talked about it several times. This is a series of essays reviewing certain things, like a lot of different random things. He talks about NASCAR, he talks about the world's largest ball of paint, he talks about the mountain goats, all of these different things, but the thing that ties these all together is this message about humanity. And it's not like a fake, everything is great kind of a thing. It does talk about some harsh realities. So he mentions the pandemic in 2020. He talks about some of the harsh things that he saw as a chaplain in a children's hospital. But there's also this profound hope that proliferates this whole book. So, highly recommended. And then the other nonfiction that is one of my favorites that I've read this BookTube year, I finished it this month actually, is We Do This Till We Free Us by Miriam Kaba. This looks at prison abolition, and it's a collection of articles that she has put out, I think from like 2013 to 2020. It hits on some really important topics when it comes to prison abolition. If you have any questions whatsoever about this, this is the book to get. If you think that you know about it already, you should also get this. It's really incredible. And then the honorable mention that I wanted to bring up is one that was very good. I don't think that I would call it a favorite. However, it is a tragedy that I have not talked about it already. It somehow got missed in my December wrap-up, and I haven't talked about it yet. So it's going here. I read She of the Mountains by Vivek Shraya, and it was a beautiful book. It brings together Hindi mythology with the story of this queer person, kind of present day. And it weaves these two stories in together really beautifully, and it says a lot about family and relationships. It was a really quick read, but it was beautifully done. I listened to it on audiobook, and it was incredible. So I think that's the list of books that I have to answer the question that asked about one book. What else is new? Number 8 says, where do you see your channel in a year's time, and what do you hope to have achieved? Really, I don't have like a specific vision or anything. I hope that I'm able to continue to put out content that I like to make. I hope that I'm able to worry less about, thinking of what other people think. But I mean, I don't really like setting numbers, goals, and stuff like that. So I just hope to have a good time. I kind of want to do more vlogs just because those are fun. And I want to let myself make more like creative videos, like coming up with stuff. I've been doing a lot more TikTok, which is fun and is very easy to put out, but I really prefer long form. So I don't know, I want to be able to put out other like content where I'm talking about some of the books more. For instance, things that I know that I really want to work on are some of the wrap-ups for my topical TBRs. So I would like that. I've also been thinking about adding in some educational type content, just because I, part of it, like the hope with the wrap-ups for the topical TBRs is that I want to do like a deep dive and to be able to talk about it in general, but like to get people to read the book, but also if you didn't read the book, talk about some of the information that's in it so that you can still kind of learn about it. And I've been tinkering with the idea of potentially putting out other educational stuff because I have a background in educating. I have a sociology degree. I do stuff around gender studies, and like it would just make sense for me to put stuff out there. So I would really like to share the information that I have, and it would actually be really cool if I could like interact with other people about it too. I don't know if a book club kind of situation would be realistic or not, like with a discussion aspect. I don't really know. I guess the main thing is that I'm considering bringing in some more educational type deals, but the overall vibe is that I want to put out stuff that I like. And the stuff that I think that I will like is more creative, maybe some more vlogs, and content that's focused more on nonfiction or education. Now, I would also like to see what I said for this last year and to see if I did it. So I'm going to check out this tag that I did last year and see what I said. Next, we have question number 8, which is, where do you see your channel in a year and what do you hope to have achieved? I don't have any specific plans. I still plan on doing the channel. I'm having a lot of fun. This is still maybe a little bit of a crutch, but definitely more than just a coping mechanism. It is genuinely fun. I like doing this, and I love like the people that I've been able to connect with, and just in general sharing the books that I like and what I get out of them, what I learn from them. So in a year, I expect to be on this channel, hopefully living in a different location. I don't have anything specific. I have like general, like I'd like to have more like educational wrap-ups surrounding some of the nonfiction that I do. I would like to do more vlogs, figure out how to do interesting vlogs, because I feel like I already speak in such like a robotic, I don't know, kind of way. I don't feel like I'm interesting enough to do proper vlogs, but I still do them. So maybe I'll get better at those. Who knows what will happen. The main thing that I want to achieve is just talking about more books, connecting with more people, having a good time, being a big gay nerd. I think that's what I said in my goals video. Alright, so it looks like I have very similar goals last year to this year. I did achieve being a big gay nerd, but that's not very hard to do. So still interested in the education, still interested in the vlogs, which I did technically do more vlogs this past year, with like the poetry stuff. But I would still like to do more. And I still have not moved. I'm in the same place. However, I have more concrete plans and means to move. So I would absolutely love to be able to do that this summer. So that's way more achievable right now than it was this time last year, and I absolutely love that and cannot fucking wait. I'm tired of this apartment and I'm tired of Tennessee. But anyways, we can move on to the next question. Last question is to tag someone whose anniversary is coming up, and I don't keep track of people's channels like that. So if you're watching and your channel birthday is soon, do this tag if you want. You're tagged. So that's what I've got. In the comments, you can let me know what kind of videos you would like to see me put out. If that educational content sounds interesting, let me know. I'm planning on doing wrap-ups of some of the nonfiction books that I do, but I'm also interested in putting out content related to sociology and LGBT issues. So if you have questions or topics that you think would be cool to learn about, let me know. And thank y'all so much for watching. Bye.